Hey guys, what's up? My name is Michael, and here's a step-by-step process on how to register your first song with ASCAP. We're going to be going through a step-by-step tutorial. I'm not going to be cutting out as much of the fluff as I usually do, so this is a great way to follow along if you're registering for the first time. So we have ASCAP's website over in here. We already have an account with them. We're just going to go click on the login section right here and click on the music creator button right here. Removing some of the screen just because it has some passwords and some usernames that I don't want to be sharing, so do excuse if there is some like boxes covering some information, but we're just going to log in here. Just got to type in your username and password and we're good to go. So this is my account. This is all you have to do. I'm going to be probably blocking out a lot of this information, but once you log into your writer account, you're going to see your name on the top left hand corner. You're going to see your IPI. The works is a section tab right here. I currently have 455 songs registered with ASCAP, 44 cue sheets. These are 44 sync placements over the years that I've placed with them. Down here is a message board where if you have any support questions you want to ask the team, you can. All you got to really do if you're registering a song for the first time is go hover to the left side of the panel and click on works and register a new work. We're just going to click that right now. So this is what the online work registration platform looks like. It's not going to take you longer than 5 to 10 minutes to register a song. I'm just going to be doing a temp one just to show you guys the process, but let's do my best song. Cool. If for some reason you have an alternative title, say for example, you ended up redoing the song or there's another version of it, you could put that down here. Like if you want to put sped up, like a sped up TikTok version or a slowed down TikTok version, you can. For now, we're just going to leave that blank. Next thing, and the most important thing, is the writers and publishers section, which is right here. This is basically determining who gets what and who is earning what royalties for this song. The numbers have to add up to 100% equally. So writer share is 50% of the pie, and then the publisher share is the other 50% of the pie. If those don't match up to 50%, it's not going to allow you to save the entry, so making sure that you have the math correct is ideal. For most people that are working, for example, we're going to do a couple situations where if it's me and I'm writer 1 and there is my friend writer 2, we're going to split the song equally. So each person is going to be getting 25% of the writer share and then 25% of the publisher share, leading to 50% equal on both sides. It's important to note that in order to have this happening and in order to make sure that there's no problems for the future, you should always have some sort of signed document highlighting, oh, this person owns this much, this person owns that much, as well as their contact information and their publishing information. This is known as a split sheet. If you don't have access to one, I have one on my website. You can click on the link in my bio. I'll probably put up on the screen somewhere here as well. You can check it out. It's like $2. I use it as a template for all these songs that I work on just to make sure that everything is in one spot. So it's easier when I need to reference that, saying, you know, if there, for example, one of the writers I work with has an agreement or a disagreement with the splits and wants to look at them, we can show that document and have proof that, hey, you signed this, like this is what we agreed to, just making sure there's no issues for the future. So first I'm going to type in my name. You can search by IPIs as well as your actual full name. I would recommend you search by IPIs. When you're registering with ASCAP, BMI writers will always have, I think, 1 or 2 zeros in the beginning of their IPI. Just delete those. You don't need those extra zeros. ASCAP won't count those. So just making sure that you type in that information is ideal. We're just going to be typing in a fake writer, 1 through 3 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Someone probably has that IPI. We're just going to put writer unknown for now, but when you actually fill it in, your name will be here. Role is the next important part. There's going to be either composer and author, which is you created both the lyrics and musical elements. Think like a producer that's in a session that also helps write part of the lyrics. You would put composer and author. Composer, you're just producing, you're not adding any of the lyrical elements. Author, you're writing the lyrics. Arranger, you're basically taking what was already existing and like moving things around. For example, if there's another producer structuring more of the track out, they would be an arranger. Adapter, think of them as a translator. For example, in the Japanese and in the Korean markets, there's always a translator that comes in and translate those songs from English into the native language. So they would be the adapter for this song. And then finally, translator. Just kidding, I'm wrong with that. Adapter would be someone that would just come back in and adjust the lyrics based on the necessity for a clean version. For example, there's a lot of radio edits that will need to remove any curse words or any dirty words that they don't want played on terrestrial radio. That's when the adapter would come in and fix that. The translator, like I mentioned before, is someone that would come in, you know, they speak a different language, but they're translating your song into another language for whatever reason. So most of the time, and for most people, you're only going to be looking at the composer, author, and composer sections. I personally, even though I do a little bit of the songwriting and the lyric writing, I'm mostly just going to be putting composer. This role doesn't really dictate or matter. It doesn't really alter how you're paying royalties. It doesn't really change ownership of the song. It's really just like classification so people know when you actually look at the registration, oh, this guy did this guy did that. It's more of kind of the metadata back end that some people care about, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really apply to how payments are processed. So next thing we're going to be putting in is our share, which is 25%. And you can see the writer's share is highlighted in red, meaning we have not equaled the 50% that we need to. We're going to type in our publisher. We're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. and just put publisher unknown for now. This is the same situation where I would recommend you just put in the publisher IPI. It makes it a lot faster, and that way you're not worried about choosing the wrong name for this section. Next, you're going to put the territory, which is most likely going to be the world, unless you have a sub-publishing deal. Most independent artists, I would argue 90% of them are going to be just putting the world, because you are going to be your own publisher. You're not going to be using some other or have some sort of publishing deal. If you do have a publishing deal, your publisher is handling all this for you, or they should be handling this. So don't worry about registering your stuff again. Next, we're going to put the share, which is in the 25%. And then from there, we're going to be clicking add writer. So this is where we're going to put in the second writer. We'll just put John for now. John, something. We're not actually going to submit this, so it doesn't really matter if this person knows or not. Check this box that the author has authorized you to submit this registration information for them. So this is the most important thing, and a good check for you. It's like, okay, do you have a split sheet that's signed with that other writer? If you don't, then you should probably get them to sign it before you register the song, just to make sure that there's a full transparency with who owns what for that specific track. Next thing is the role. We're just going to put composer, author again, and then shares 25%. So as soon as we put that, you can see the writer share highlights to 50%, meaning we have the full piece of the pie, and we are good to go. Next, we add the publisher information on this side. So a couple situations where this might occur. Say, for example, Johnny was with BMI and he's self-published. Self-published means that you are treated as a writer/publisher entity rather than having those two entities considered different. So with ASCAP, I'm not sure you're allowed to mix the accounts, but with ASCAP, you have to have a writer account and then you have to have a publisher account. So two different accounts with ASCAP. With BMI, you have the option to just be with one account. So if that's the case, I personally have reached out to ASCAP asking like, hey, like what do I put if they're just self-published? You just put 25% and then you can put this publisher has no publisher on this work. That means that this total is still 50%. We can go back here and delete this, so it's 0, and then put this again, still putting it to 50%. That's because they know, hey, Johnny owns both the writer share and publisher share. We're just going to send them both halves of the check when it comes in. So it's still the same split. It's just for processing purposes when they are registering stuff and sharing that information with BMI, just to make sure that that information is consistent. So if you are with BMI and you are self-published, just make sure that whoever is registering on the ASCAP end is clicking this button, because if you count, then you're not going to be getting the full publisher share, because they're going to put publisher unknown and then they're going to put a percentage and then it's going to be unclaimed. So just making sure you put all the information out is important. So that's basically all you have to do on the writer side. If you have an admin deal, if you're with Songtrust, if you're with TuneCore Publishing, and they offer some sort of admin publishing services, they will handle all the registration for you. But I personally recommend that you register your stuff for yourself in the beginning. So register all of your music as if you have your own publishing entity, then register with the admin publisher. That way you have at least one sort of entry earmarked with your PRO to ensure that your money can start flowing. And then when they do their registration, they'll take their admin cut and then everything is good to go. I've had situations where my admin publisher has still technically taking like years to register music, which isn't supposed to happen. This takes like 2 or 3 minutes per song. So just to make sure that you're not losing any money, register your stuff as soon as you possibly can. Keep moving forward here. We're going to put this as blank and then click this and then we're good to go. So then we put apply. Nice. So now this is all saved. If we wanted to go back in and edit it, we can, and then we're good to go. So this is the not so important, but important parts if you want to fill it out. But there's a couple questions at the bottom here that it does ask you that you can fill out if you want to make sure your entry is as complete as possible. We're just going to be walking through them with you real quickly. Has this work been recorded? If not, skip. So anyone that releases music on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, whatever, you're going to be putting information here. So for example, we're going to put Michael as the recording artist. Song title, My Best Song. ISRC, this is going to be given to you by your distributor. So with DistroKid, we get your ISRC code very easily. They send it pretty much as soon as a song is scheduled. So what I personally do, as soon as I have a song scheduled with DistroKid, I will immediately grab the ISRC and put it in and fill out a PRO statement just to make sure that the song is registered here. So when the song goes live, I don't need to think about anything. I could just push the marketing and focus more on the promotion side. We're just going to put in a random number here. This is going to be given to you by your distributor like I mentioned before. Next, the release date. This is whatever you plan on releasing the song. We're just going to put 1/1/2025 just because. Some websites will make you put in a 0 because they want both sections of the date to be 2 digits. Just fix it. Very easy to do. So after that, we can add an additional recording if we want. For some reason, if you have someone cover your song, you can put that there. But if they're covering a song by you, then they would not be filling out this section. That would be claimed on kind of a different backend side. So next, has this work been performed? For example, if you are an artist and you plan to perform, just put it. So we would just put Michael at performer. Good to go. You can put multiple performers if you want. Don't really have to. Next, we're going to do, is this work intended for a commercial, film, or other product? So 99% of the time, for any artist that is pitching their stuff to sync licensing, you won't really be registering your stuff through your PRO, because most of the time when you're working with these sync companies, they're going to be taking a portion of your publishing. So they want to register the song again in order to ensure that they're getting their half of the pie. For something like this, you generally don't want to be filling it out unless you're selling on some third-party website, like Audio Jungle is one I've been with for a while, Pond 5, Motion Array. There's a couple different libraries where you're allowed to sell music as a producer and as an artist. So with those, you would put general usage library. It doesn't really matter. The more specific you can, the better. I just generally put general usage because you never know when songs are going to get used. I usually just put NA because you don't really know what production or commercial is going to be using it. You can also put, if you were with Audio Jungle, you can put Audio Jungle. You can put, Pond 5 or Motion Array, but you don't have to. This is really just like an extra thing just to kind of earmark it on ASCAP system, but not really necessary if you are submitting for the first time. Is this a concert work? This really only applies to composers, as you can probably tell, because concert work. I don't fill this out ever because I don't compose classical music like that, so I would skip this as well. Does this work contain a sample? If not, skip. This is really only pertains to samples that aren't cleared and samples that aren't royalty free. So if you have something on Splice, you don't need to be filling out like Sounds of Kashmir volume 9 and then putting whatever Kashmir's IPI is. Don't do that. You don't need to. This is really only for, hey, I have a song that samples the new Drake song. I got permission from his team to use it. Here is that now putting onto the entry. So that's where you would use it. For example, I think Meg Thee Stallion sampled Jujutsu Kaisen's like break sound or something. She would put that. So she would put like Jujutsu, whatever you spell it, put whatever that writer information is. You generally, I don't even know who really owns that theme. She probably had to contact the actual studio for that. But with something like that, you would fill that information in and it'd be good to go. This just ensures that the song has some sort of earmark saying like, hey, like we acknowledge that we're using your sample. This way you can process the publishing however you agreed to splits. They probably ask for a percentage, I assume, once that's the case. So next is, does this work use public domain elements? So this pertains to any song. I believe the life of copyright is 75 years plus the author's life. So that means like if you died in 2000, you would wait 75 years and then that music would then get released to the public for potential use. So it's not the recordings, it's just the lyrics, melody, and whatever else is associated with the song. If it's in public domain, you're good to go. People confuse this with recordings. Recordings generally have a longer lifespan because people have gone in and re-recorded the songs and uploaded them. This is on the label side, so they will still own that new copyright term, which is usually going to be a lot longer. So don't sample stuff that is in public domain and is a recording. You can sample stuff that's just like a lyric or a melody. For example, I think the Happy Birthday song is finally in public domain again. You can use that. You can take that, you can sample the melody and do something cool with it. There's other things like a lot of classical Beethoven is in public domain, so you can rip some of the melodies there and resample them. So there's a lot of options, but for the most part, like most people are really just interpolating and using kind of a idea from the past and making it more modern. That's really kind of what it's for. Not a lot of people are just ripping Beethoven and making it again and then posting it. So it really depends, but depending on your situation, just double check public domain. You can look up public domain songs online. They're all available. I think with the Library of Congress, they have to release that. So double check that. And then finally, do you know the performance time of this work? This is just the duration. I mean, I don't really think you need to fill this in, but like, for example, if the song is 3 minutes and 2 seconds, just put that. But you don't really need to put any of this information in. That is not super important. So finally, not going to click it, but you just click submit, and then it brings you to another screen which basically tells you, hey, like if you want to register another song with the same splits, you can't click this button here. So if you are registering an album and you are splitting the song equally with a producer, it makes the process a lot easier because then you're just updating the work title and then a couple other things down here. So you can also save an entry. For example, if we want to save it here, we can click save. Just going to do that for now, just so it's saved in one spot. And you can go here to saved works right on this tab down here if you want to edit it for the future. We're going to delete it because this isn't a real song, so we're not going to submit it. But that's all you got to do. Very, very easy to do. Register a song with ASCAP. It should take you like 2 to 5 minutes if you have all the information in one spot to register a song for the first time. Highly, highly, highly recommend you have some sort of agreement with your co-writers, making sure that everything's signed and making sure that you designate one person for registration. Multiple registrations with different PROs isn't necessary because once you register on your end, it takes a few weeks, but then it'll appear on your friends' writer accounts with BMI and ASCAP, whatever they're with. So don't worry about double registering. I personally I'm strongly against it just because a lot of issues can happen where if, for example, someone makes one small mistake and when they're registering, it delays payments for everyone. So just choose the person that's a little bit more nitpicky than the other ones and have them do all the registration for you. They can send a confirmation and screenshots when they actually do send it in, but all that stuff, just make sure one person does it. The other thing I'd recommend too is that once your songs are in the system, you can edit and make some changes to them via ASCAP, via your work section. Very, very, very easy to do. With BMI, I believe you actually have to contact them directly because they don't allow in-system editing. But with ASCAP, you can. I think you just have to send in a couple things and you're good to go. Always, always, always before you do that, just make sure you check with your writers to make sure that they know what's happening. Sometimes you might need to delete the entry and then re-upload another version just to make sure that those splits are correct. That is pretty much it. That's kind of how you register a song with ASCAP. The process has pretty much stayed exactly the same for the past, I've been with ASCAP for like 7 or 8 years. It's been the same. Nothing's really changed. The website's probably gotten updated a couple of times, but the submission platform is very basic, very simple. They're probably going to add some sort of feature and some checkbox at the bottom that's like, did you use AI material in this song? So keep that in mind. That might be something they add in the future. That's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do have any questions about registering your songs with ASCAP, please write a comment below. More than happy to help. I'm going to probably put another tutorial out on a couple other features on ASCAP. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.